So good evening, everybody. It is Monday, September 12th. It's 5 in the evening, and this is an 11th Ward community meeting regarding a zoning change request for the subject property 3513 South Halsted. It's currently zoned as an RS3. The requested change is for a C12. We have the owner, Ling Ling Gu, who's on the call with us as well. She's got a translator who's going to be speaking on her behalf, Miss Wong, Lisa Wong. And what I want to let people know is that Lisa's going to be giving the presentation as to why the zoning change is being sought. Just to lay down some information for everybody here. There'll be opportunities to ask questions. And then I'll take into consideration sort of the feedback that we have here. There won't be any sort of decision on this call necessarily, but we'll have some discussion about what's being requested here. So at this point, I think we'll just go ahead and let Lisa go ahead with your presentation.
Thank you, Alderman, for taking time to host this meeting for us. I do prepare a PowerPoint. I hope to make it easier for everyone to understand why we are seeking for a zoning change.
Lisa, actually, you need to send that to me because I can't give you control of the.
Oh.
I can't make you a host, otherwise it'll stop recording. So can you email that to me?
Right now, right? To
yes,
Kathy. Right now, to Kathy. Okay,
actually,
to
me, actually, nicole.lee@cityofchicago.org. Sorry, everybody.
Okay, sorry. Let me do that.
Okay.
Alderman Lee?
Yes.
Hi, this is Karen Scamasi.
Hi, Karen. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks.
Good. While we're waiting, can you just let the group know what a C12 zoning is?
So it's a C1-2. It's a commercial zone. I can read you the definition. Basically, the way that these, and I'm going to give you my freshman alderman explanation of what the zoning is. Okay, so currently it's zone RS3, which is a residential zoning. It's RS-3. R means residential. If there was a B, it would mean business. Other surrounding buildings in the area are B for business. C is commercial. And as we go from R to B to C, R is obviously like they're just homes. You can't really operate a business out of it. So right now, the property is non-conforming to the zoning. It was down-zoned. It was previously a commercial zoned property, C1-2. The smaller the number that follows the C gives you the sort of level of usage that the property can have. When you get into C's, the commercials, that's probably the largest set of uses as of right. And I'm using terms that not everybody's going to understand. I'm just getting to know them. Basically, the way zoning works is that you're in a particular zoning district. So whatever your property or a property is zoned for is what as dictated by a certain set of rules that is established by city ordinance on what is an allowable use for the property. Now, it may be a permitted use or it may be a special use that you have to get permission to do something with. And I can put in the chat just some zoning information. There is an online City of Chicago zoning map where you can click on a property and see what it's zoned for, and then you can click on the zone, and then you can actually get into the actual ordinance to read that in detail. Oh, I'm getting feedback from somebody. And if you're not speaking, if I can ask you to go ahead and mute your phone. Karen, does that, I know it wasn't like a totally complete answer, but I can put I can put the actual definition into the chat so that everybody has that.
Okay, well, I guess we'll find out later in the call what's being asked. You know, I know when we get these notices or when you put them on the newsletter, it just states what the zoning is being changed from R3 to C-12.
Mhm.
But us regular people, we have no idea what that means. So
Right,
I
and
think it would be helpful if you include in your email or in your letter what it's being rezoned for. We're going to rezone it from, you know, commercial or residential to commercial. And, you know, this is what the proposed owner wants to put, you know, in this space or in this area.
got it. And I
I think
appreciate
you probably get a lot more attraction to the meetings. I think by being so vague, we don't know what the call is about. And I think it'd be helpful if we really knew what was being proposed.
So I understand the want or the desire for more information. I appreciate the suggestion. That's kind of the purpose of these meetings, is to be able to have these discussions without kind of overloading a lot of the details into the individual letters. The notices that we send out, they're by laws required 250 feet within 250 feet radius of the subject properties. We take the extra step of having these community meetings. And I'm following in what my predecessor did and having community meetings, for
Right.
any zoning changes that take place, and we post that in the newsletter as well as on Facebook. So we're not trying not to be transparent at all. But
Transparent.
I appreciate the need for some additional context. So I think what we can add in there is just like links to things where you can find more information about what different zoning is. But you know, we'd like for the applicant, if you will, to be able to provide that that level of detail.
Okay.
All right.
You.
So Karen, I'm sorry. Lisa, did you send that?
Yes, I have.
Let me just go to my email. It does not come through yet. This is how it always works when you want something fast. It does not come. It's like watching a kettle boil. Hold on a second. Let me just refresh this. And Lisa, you sent that to nicole.lee@cityofchicago.org.
Yes, because I have your email address on file, so it
Okay.
just popped up. And I sent it out at 5:08.
I think that I just heard it ping on my other computer. Hold on a second. It's come through on my phone and my other computer, and now finally the one that I'm on. Okay, now we're in business. Sorry about that, everybody. Let me share my screen. Oh, I don't know.
你说话吗？你一个别说，你一个 WiFi 一个 ID，人家看你有两个，肯定更。
Okay. Lisa. Okay, it's all yours. Go ahead.
Okay, now we are proposing for this business at 3513 South Halsted, and it has the business name that registered with the city as Leland Natural Therapies and Smoothies. Okay, and then the next slide, please. From this slide, you can see that the license Ling obtained from the city to operate as a regular business. You know, it's the regular business license include the foot massage, fully closed, no disrobed, full body massage services, all that. Okay, this is the one. And the next slide, please. And this one is to give the license to make a smoothie at this address. Well, up front, we have a space to make smoothie drinks, and it's a carry out. There's no seating to sit to eat over there. Okay, next slide, please. So this is the license to show that Lini also has a license to do the as a cosmetologist. So she is licensed to do the facial massage or the cosmetic
Lisa,
massage.
I just want to call your attention to this license is expired. The one that
Oh,
you're.
I'm
showing
sorry.
right
I
now.
should.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I should have.
I just want to acknowledge that other people are going to see that too. So you can keep going.
Okay, the next slide, please. And the type of services, what we're gonna do is the smoothie drinks, therapeutic massage, and warm hot rocks massage, and the facial massage, foot massage, acupuncture treatment, vacuum cupping, suction, and cosmetic cares, including face, hands, and feet. So basically, it's more therapeutic oriented services. Okay, next slide, please. And this slide is to show that the building permit was obtained for the first floor a long time ago before we were getting the building permit for the second and third floor. But as you can see where I circled it, this building was zoned as a C1-2 when the building permit was issued to the second and third floor. Okay, and then.
Oh, sorry. I muted you by accident, Lisa. I was trying to mute
All right,
somebody
no
else.
problem. So do I need to repeat what I said?
Yes, just repeat what the last part was. Like go back 10
Okay.
seconds.
Okay, sorry. So this is just to show you after the first permit on the first floor used as a business, the second and third floor will be for apartments. At that time was still C1-2. You can see where it's circled. Okay.
And
And
Lisa,
then
real
I'm
quick,
sorry.
while I've got you here, because there's no dates on this. When was this original permit pulled? Because I think that's also useful for this conversation.
Okay, for this second and third floor, I think it's be about 2018, before 2018, sometime like that, around 2018. But first floor was a lot earlier than that because first floor was done first. Okay, and then I could ask Lini about the year
Right,
that
so
first floor was done.
and the reason I'm asking is because the zoning change that changed it from C1-2 to RS3 was done in 2017. I can get you the exact date.
If
So
that's the case.
So the timing of all of this matters. Is this, I think what people need to understand is the full picture of what the building was previously used for. That I know this background because I've talked to you, which is why I want you just to clarify here. That there was construction going on to rehab the building, and that there was, and as I understand it, was this business previously already operating at this address or no?
It was never operated at this address, was trying to apply for a sign permit. That's the time it was denied based on different zoning.
Okay, so keep going for now, and then we'll answer some more questions. I just want to, we'll have an opportunity to get more clarification. Go ahead.
Sure. Okay, the next slide. And the next slide to show that when in 2018, that was March 2018, that zoning already denied the sign permit based on the non-permit use, because at that time, this place was already zoned as RS3, downgraded to a residential zone. Okay, and it was not at the owner's will to downgrade it. So next slide, please. And this one is to show you based on zoning map out of the same block, that each building has a different zone. You can see some is the RS3, some is a C1-2, some is the B1-3. And where I circled, this is our buildings at. It was C1-2, but somehow was picked by the last alderman to be downgraded to RS3. Okay, so we are trying to get this our original zoning district back to a C1-3. So the sign permit could be obtained and the business could be operated at this location.
Do you want the next slide?
Yeah, next slide, please. And this is to show you, you can see this, the front space facing the main street. Halsted, it was designed to make a smoothie. Next slide, please. Then you will see from the other direction that you can see the coolers, the shelvings, all that have been prepared. And next slide, please. And then after that, you're going in, this is where the entrance, the lobby is, the reception area is, okay? And next slide, please. So this is the same area, but you will look at it from a different angle. Next slide, please. And so it has the focus on this cat, meaning it's a symbol to bring a fortune to the business. Next slide, please. And then this is the hallway that you see. So each door that once you open, then you open into a different zoom. And next slide. So this is the picture hanging on the wall. And next slide, please. This is one of the rooms that was designed, decorated. So you can see this is only one bed. And next slide. And oh, I'm sorry, I put it in the wrong, but this is in the lobby area where people can sit to wait for their appointment. All right, and then this one is the corner of another room. And next slide. So this room that is prepared for 2 beds. So if you want to come in with your friend, then together you can have the services together. In the next slide. So this is another hanging pictures that we have on the wall. This is the next one. And this one's show you what the bathroom looks like. And the next one, it's also specially designed to give you a very warm feeling. And the next one is from different angles. So that's all we have in the next one. And then thanks for your support, and I'm open for any questions that you have for our proposal to change the zoning back to what we had before.
So I'm gonna drop a few comments here, and I'm sorry, Karen, I wasn't able to drop the definition of C1-2 in the chat for you yet because I was sharing my screen. Kathy, if you can pull up that information and at least put the link for the city zoning map into the chat, that would be great. And then everybody will have that. It's a very useful tool actually for anybody that's interested in finding out what the different zones are in the city. So I want to just sort of bring everybody back to what is currently on the table. They've asked for current zoning to be changed back to what it was previously, which was C1-2. That zoning was changed. It was actually that whole side of the street. Most of it was already, actually not already, but most of it was downzoned, I believe, by my predecessor in 2017, taken down to RS3. There was a desire to have a little bit more control over anything new that was opening up. There were some concerns over an excessive amount of both nail salons and massage parlors in the community in general. So the reason I asked previously, Lisa, about whether or not what business was actually in the space prior to it being remodeled, do you know?
I think it was the vacant. When she bought it, when Nining bought it, it was a vacant building.
Okay, so when she bought it was a vacant building. She hasn't operated a business there.
Not yet.
So I'm wondering, I know you've got a license for this currently. The reason the zoning change has been requested is for the sign to be able to be put up. To be clear, you don't need a C1-2 in order to get a sign put up. The rest of that block and is zone business district B1-3. And as I understand it from my friends in zoning, that would also enable a sign to be put up. I think that I've asked some questions of the licensing bureau too, BACP, regarding the issuance of the license for massage establishment when it was already currently zoned RS3. So I still have some questions about just sort of how all of this came to be now that I've had a little bit more time to dig into some of this stuff since the last time that we met, Lisa. I understand that the issue right now is the signage. So I'm gonna just let people ask some questions if they've got them now, but I wanted to just establish what it was before, when this all started, which was for Ms. Gu. She did the construction. It was C1-2 when she first started the construction on the 1 floor, and then the additional permits were to redo the apartments above. Is that correct?
Yes.
Perfect. And then that seems to me that happened at a later time. Obviously, it costs money to do these things. So when she remodeled the second and third floors, was that after 2017 at that point?
Around that time, because the original plan was if the first floor business could open, then she would like to use the money made from the business to support the remodeling on the second and third. Since it was never open, so she ran out of fund to finish the second and third floor. So right now, second and third floor are still under remodeling. It's not completed yet. And so she's not able to rent it out. It's many, many years of draining financially.
Right, because, okay. So are there questions from people that are on the call right now? I'm like happy to take those. You can please raise your hand. Go ahead, Matt. Hi, Matt. And I'm sorry, I did not do the usual introductions. I'm so off today. I'm sorry. I usually like for people to introduce themselves as to who you are on the call. So when you're speaking, if you wouldn't mind just saying who you are, if you're a community member or if you are a neighbor, and then please feel free to ask your question.
Yeah, so really just one question. I just kind of want to comment on kind of the situation on this entire block, particularly with just like the amount of what is, I think, currently built out as mixed-use buildings being zoned as RS3. But is the space on the first floor currently already built out to be the smoothie shop and massage parlor?
Yes, per the pictures that I showed, those are the pictures taken from the first floor. It was already designed, decorated as the massage parlor with it's a therapeutic purpose to provide acupuncture and it's more like an Oriental medicine.
Okay, and then the build out was, you moved forward with the build out because the previous building permit had already listed the C1-2. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, cool. I think that's honestly my only questions for the owner. Just one thing that I just kind of want to comment on regarding this whole block, because I think that there are likely going to be other calls along these lines. Is that just, I mean, all those buildings were downsized to the
so I mean,
at the same time.
Trust me, Matt, you've joined a lot of these calls, so it is not lost on me. It's an ongoing conversation I'm having with the zoning administrator, because there are many businesses, many buildings that are clearly meant for commercial use that were downzoned to residential. And RS3 is a single family home, so clearly those are not single family homes. I wasn't here for that. That was something that my predecessor did. Like I have some inkling as to the rationale for why, and I don't necessarily disagree with wanting to have some more controls over things. C1 is very big. C1 allows for a lot of as of right uses, which, right now there's only one C1-2 that's remaining on the block. And I don't have information on that property. That's not what we're talking about tonight. But just to your comment, it's not lost on me. And it is something that I'm looking at making some changes to, just to create some conformity with some guardrails put in.
Yeah, I think that's exactly kind of what I was going to comment, because it
Yeah.
seems like you're unearthing a lot of the Easter eggs of the word, which is,
Yeah.
single family homes zoned as manufacturing, things like that. I would just like to say that I think kind of most businesses going in this block would be really beneficial to the community, just because we're leaning on, the remote redevelopment to be sort of a community hub as sort of entertainment district. I certainly think it slows down for everybody who's kind of going through all these expenses to
Yes,
find out. Then
absolutely. And this was something that, for whatever the case was, the zoning change came unbeknownst to the owner. We see that there is a language barrier. So, and that, I know, Ms. Wong, Lisa, you commented it was not of the choosing of the owner. That's clear. That was something that was done at the aldermanic level, and it was done to many other buildings on the block. So, I absolutely see the challenges that it creates for a property owner like Ms. Gu, who started the process under one, had plans for it, and then something changed in the middle, which made it all the more difficult, I think, for her to carry on. You see, this has been going on for a very long time. This looks like it started basically before the zoning change happened in 2017, and we're 5 years later at this point. My desire is not to necessarily disservice any more business owners or to discourage anybody from opening businesses here, but we do want there to be some guardrails put on. So while I'm not necessarily inclined to go with a C1-2 in general on this street right now, but because commercial C1 opens up to even liquor licenses. So Karen, to your question earlier, now I can give you a little bit more detail. The commercial level does include as of right ability to have a liquor license. And I think we need to be very, as a community, I think as the alderman, I'm going to be real thoughtful about, what else opens up and what we want to have available and to give people the right to do something as of right versus having to come back and have a conversation about it. I think there's a much happier middle ground than an RS3. And I do think that that's going to be in like the B1 sort of category, to your question or to your comment, Matt.
Yeah, you're basically saying what I was building up to is that, B or C is more reflective of what this building is. B, I think is nicer just because
Yeah,
you can't turn into
absolutely.
a liquor shop, but then people don't sink costs into a small business to find out that they
Right. Exactly.
If I may, I would like to make a comment is that, yes, if I don't know about B1 very much, but all I know is this owner back then, she spent lots of money to buy this building because it was a zone for C1, right? And after she spent so much money to buy that, she started gathering more money to do the investment to make it happen as her own business. But down the road, it was downgraded. Now we are asking to be back to the original C1. If somehow you say B1 will do the job, so I'm not going to give you C1. But if you look at from the owner's perspective, how much money she will be losing, because if today she has to sell her building as a B1 instead of a C1, she wouldn't be able to sell as a high as a C1, where when she paid that much for it. So basically it's like, how are you gonna operate? And by trusting your government, say, I'm gonna buy this piece of property investment in your district, but I'm not sure down the road, if you are gonna downgrade me, then I'm gonna lose all my investments. I'm trying to say, yes,
No.
maybe B1 will give her the permit, the sign permit, but somehow, what about the property value? From her owner's perspective view, there's lots of money to lose. I think if you do want to provide a guardrail for the community, maybe, I don't know if there's some different way to control it instead of downgrading and make the owner lose their value of their property.
I completely understand. And you remember Lisa, when we first met, like, and I found out about what sort of happened in this situation, I noted that she was not the only property owner that came to me with a similar predicament, right? They're operating businesses that are clearly businesses, not residential single family homes. And just to know, like, again, that preceded me at all. And where I am today, and what we're discussing today is just the request to change from an RS3 to a C12. We can have some more discussion about this. We can have some more discussion about this if there are other questions about the business and the intention of what Ms. Gu is wanting to do here. When we came in originally, the request was to be able to have the sign put up. So having the sign put up does not necessarily require a C1-2. Just seeing what is all around there, there's only one C1-2 currently in the area. And what would be more conforming in the general area are B1s. I'm not going to make a decision on this call. I never do that here. This is much more to get input. So we'll have discussion, and if there are any other questions, we'll take those, or any other comments. But, I take what you say to have to heart. Mr. Liu, you've got a question. Robert, go ahead.
Hi.
Say who you are, please.
My name is Robert Yu. I'm 11th Ward resident. So I'm curious. I vaguely remember there being kind of a restriction that the previous alderman had kind of put in place for these types of businesses. If I remember right, it was like a limitation on how many number of them within a certain amount of footage. Is this property part of that zone, or is that still kind of, it's like kind of a moratorium? Is it kind of still in place?
Say that one more time, Robert. I'm sorry.
I believe
it out
that
of mind.
the previous alderman had put in place some sort of restriction on the amount of, I guess, nail salon and massage parlor type businesses.
I actually think that there's a city ordinance.
Okay.
And I've asked someone to send it to me because I asked this specific question. And I just haven't gotten an answer back on it yet.
And there's like a general like restriction, but he made it a little bit more restrictive from what my memory of it was. This is something that probably happened right around the time of the rezoning.
So I think his move to down zone so much of the property and sort of in this area was to just get a better handle on a lot of what was popping up. And feeling like it was too concentrated, like there were.
It sounded like it was like a way to force an upzone back up for people to be able to basically to force a community meeting to
force somebody to come back in. Yeah, I think that is a fair statement to make.
So while I agree that clearly is a commercial space, I can see why there's pushback, especially also on the Facebook page on certain businesses being not necessarily conducive to what the residents want. So, and they would probably prefer other sorts of businesses, but it's also not really in. I also get the opinion that people should be able to do what they want within their space as well. So I don't know where I'm going with that.
Right.
So yeah, I was more curious on like if that restriction still applied and if this was part of that area, which had that further restriction that he put in place. My other question was the owner, are they not renting out the other two floors? They're residential spaces, right? They're not part of the commercial space for the business.
She would like to rent them out, but
is she not able to under this designation?
Because she hasn't finished the remodeling of floors. She doesn't have enough money to do so.
Okay.
Before the pandemic, she already was short of the funds to complete the remodeling. It took so long that the city even terminate the building permit, voided it. The city even voided the building permit. Then we went back in to ask to be reinstated it. So it was reinstated and started it, but because of pandemic, and then lockdown, then afterwards, construction costs all went through the roof. Then make it even worse for her to complete. And now the first floor cannot open for business.
I have to restrain myself.
Lisa, this is Karen Scamasi. I'm a ward resident. Can you tell me how many massage parlors we have in the 11th ward?
For me, oh, I don't know. Maybe Alderman will know better. I didn't do the survey. How many other
I'm
massage?
just trying to, you know, think out loud and justify why we need another massage parlor.
Oh, okay. For that I could explain is I think this one is more focused on the Oriental medicine, like a vacuum cupping, and the all those the hot rock massage, and you know they will do the skin scraping to open your meridian lines. So it's not like a leisure entertainment type of a massage that will be provided as well.
Entertainment.
But it's not the
She's
You know,
she's using the wrong terms, Karen.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I don't go for a massage to be entertained. that's
No,
for sure.
yeah, so you mean there,
Regular. I mean, regular. That doesn't have any therapeutic purpose. It's just people go there to say, "Oh, help me feel relaxed."
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
you know, my muscle is
Lisa,
tight.
I think
so
part of the challenge may be that the fact that the license is issued for it says massage, it says nothing about the sort of meridians and cupping and all of the more oriental focused, like Eastern medicine, holistic things that you're talking about right now.
yeah,
and
I
they're-
think for the city, they do not have a license specific for those services. So it will be, you know, up to this owner if she wanted to provide more towards to that direction with the services. That's my understanding. The city doesn't have the special type of service to say, yeah, this is for the vacuum cupping, this is for something else. They don't do that.
Right, so based on what I see, like a license has already been issued for you for this. You're not open for business right now because you can't put a sign up. That's how I understand it, right?
Yes.
Karen,
That's
and I did
correct.
not mean to cut you off. Karen, did you have more?
Yeah, the reason, and I understand the situation, you buy a property, you have X amount of dollars, you're gonna remodel the commercial space upstairs in the bed. I understand that, and the pandemic kind of threw things away, but I don't think that should be a sticking point for us making a decision whether to grant her this exemption because of the financial loss she's incurred. We've all made money in real estate and we've all lost money in real estate. This should not be a basis for granting her the exemption or the change in the zoning law because she has bought a property and it has not turned out to be as successful, as fruitful as it should have been or what she anticipated. It has nothing to do with the good of the neighborhood. We've all taken hits. If she saw that things were going south, she should have sold the building because she did not have the right zoning issue. It should have been done right then and there and go on to the next property. And it's unfortunate that the property was changed mid-point, but that is the way the city operates. So when you buy a property like this, you take the chance, and it is not the residents' responsibility to make good on that.
So did you say that she has a lot of properties?
No,
Did
she
I-
did
No,
not
no, no.
say that.
I said, no, I said if she bought this property with the intent of putting the massage parlor and renovating that space and then renovating the residential, she probably had X amount of money allotted to do all. The first blow was that it was not, the zoning was changed. So she had proceeded with putting her money into the property that was, you know, the zoning was changed on. And now you're kind of saying, well, this is a financial disappointment to her and it's caused her a lot of duress. That is not our problem. And I don't want to sound crass about it, but it's not our problem that she got into a business deal that did not come out the way she expected it to, because we've all gone through that. There's been recessions. Right now, if I wanted to buy a house, I have to pay 5 or 6% interest rather than 6 months ago paying 2%. That's the price we pay in the economy. So if she was not prepared to take that hit, that is not a reason to rezone this property to save her financially. You take a risk anytime you buy property.
If you say it this way, what would you say would be good reasons to be rezoned back to what you had before?
So I want to just make sure we're managing the conversation. I think, Karen, I don't think anybody could disagree with the fact that everybody takes a risk whenever they make any sort of investment. And to be clear, I would not be making any sort of decision to make sure somebody could make money on an investment. That's not at all what is being asked right now. The question at hand is, or the request at hand is RS3 to C1-2. The basis for that was to be able to put up a sign to operate the business that she actually already has licenses to operate in the property. So that's what's before us right now. And I think that, these are all, everybody's got valid points here. I think there is a known concern in the community about the density of which, or the magnitude of which we have nail salons and massage parlors. So that is also, both of those things are very true. Matt, you had a question here. Did the owners of these buildings receive notice that their properties were downzoned? My assumption is that they received some sort of notice because it by law, it's required. What Lisa has said, that Ms. Gu didn't know. Then, as I said, she has a language challenge here. So the notices, I'm sure, were in English. So for whatever reason, she was not aware of the change and she proceeded. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that the way it was done was illegal either. I mean, I'm just putting all of that out there for everybody to understand.
I wanted to say one thing is, yes, she has a language barrier, but when she receives letters that are in English, she usually will find somebody to read it for her.
Okay.
She will not miss any letters. She
So-
will
So
check
you're
her
saying
mailbox.
she didn't physically receive a notice in the mail?
She didn't.
Okay,
She didn't.
got it. And I can look into that too. And I can go back to the zoning department. As I said, I wasn't here for that, and that was an aldermanic change that was done. So I believe that the zoning department actually is the one that's responsible for providing those notices
Yeah.
to the properties.
Yeah, what I was trying to say is when she got her first building permit on the first floor, it was a C13. After it was done,
C12, not 3.
C1-2, okay, C1-2. And then after that, she proceeded to do the second and third floor, and it was still C1-2. And after she received the building permit for the second and third floor, it was still C1-2. It was when she, so she didn't know that it was changed in 2017. So when she put out this permit sign application, it was denied March 2018 by the zoning says not permitted use in that place.
And at that point, did she try to make a request to have a zoning change in 2018?
She knew that at that time with the alderman back then, she would have no chance to do that. One, alderman was really strong about downgraded it. Two, she wouldn't have that much money to hire a zoning attorney to do all that. So you are, fighting like an uphill battle, and it's
So-
not a win-win situation.
No, I get it. And I'm not unsympathetic at all to this. And Robert, did you have another question? Because I still see your hand up. No, you're good. Okay. Well, I just wanted to get clarification on that because I was missing a little piece of information. I think this is something that, we have to have little bit of a longer discussion about. If there, I want to give other people the opportunity to, you know, make comments or to ask questions while we have while we have Lisa and the owner on the call. If there's any other specific questions regarding the request, you should feel free to ask those now. Raise your hand and ask that.
I did.
I don't have a specific question. My name is Lak Wong, and we reside at 3519 South Halsted, which is like 3 doors down from Miss Go and Miss Wong's property. So we endured the same situation, except that our business was already up and running. It was active, so we weren't affected by the zoning change.
Yeah, you could still operate your business.
Correct.
Is that your mom sitting with you?
Yeah, that is my mom.
And I've met your mom. Hi.
Hi.
Yes, and yes, absolutely. So I'm familiar.
It goes back to what Ms. Wong was saying, how it affects their property value, that the zoning change, and you know that's the same case for us, except we weren't handcuffed by not having our business running early enough to having it like impacted. We're still having a business, but like property value has changed because of the zoning situation. And the real question is like, how do we like petition for a change so that we can get it, you know, upgraded from something that's not a residential property, because it's really not a residential property, especially because this is a major street.
Yeah, it's all commercial.
A major intersection. So it's like, yeah, it's very surprising that they would consider this residential.
I understand. And I did, your mom came in to see me, and I know in really all of the buildings up and down, I mean, like, if you look at the zoning map, there's probably 6 or 8 buildings that are sort of fall into the same category.
Absolutely.
I appreciate you making your comments and speaking up. So thank you for being here. And we can have, as I mentioned to Matt earlier when he made that comment, I am looking at doing something that rectifies that a little bit, but not,
sure.
and still provide some better guardrails on the things that can go in and would be allowable just as of right.
Definitely, definitely interested in learning more about the guardrails.
Yeah.
So I'll pay attention to it.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Pop up.
Thank you.
We're ready.
Sure. Jackie, Miss Alonso,
Yes,
go ahead. Can you tell us who you are?
my name is Jackie, and I'm a resident of the area. My question is, I've been to massages. Why is it a mixed use business property? Am I gonna lay in a room and hear a blender running or whatever, a machine running because you're making a smoothie? Like, I don't see that type of business mix.
You know, the smoothie operation is in front. And after that, there's a lobby reception area. And after that reception area, you go into the room. So you basically shouldn't hear the noises from the machine running, because it was all considered.
Even in the lobby, you're gonna hear the noises, which doesn't matter to me, because I mean, I just don't understand. Usually a business opens, it's one business, that's a small building. You don't open multiple businesses within a business.
I think that what it is, you know, down Halsted on that block, you actually don't see smoothie drinks, right? Operated like Italian ice. People could just wait outside and pick up their favorite drinks and just walk out down the street.
But there's there's a smoothie one down the street on, isn't there one on 34th and Halsted or 33rd and Halsted?
I'm not sure about that one.
That's what the residents are saying. Sometimes it's just too many of the same thing. Like massages, nail parlors. It just, I mean, you want to make a corridor of 30, you know, the whole block of massage parlors. I mean, I don't understand. You're all competing for the same business.
Well, the reason that the owner doesn't feel like there's a competition is because she will be focusing on more on the orientation practice. You know, the smooth,
medical.
yeah, you know, those things. So that's why she doesn't see that competition there, because from up front you feel like it's the same thing, but she has a different approach to the business.
Well, I wish her luck, but I mean,
Yeah,
there's
you
just
know how.
a lot of massage parlors in the area. I don't
Yeah,
know.
but do
And
they
some of them
provide?
claim to be the same type of thing, cupping and all that different stuff, not just
Do
walk
they
in
have
and
an
get somebody to-
acupuncture treatments as well?
Well, I assure you some of them do.
Oh, because we sure don't want it to be in competition with so many of others doing the same similar type of a business.
I mean,
It
it's
should
just the
be
same,
different.
it's the same thing as all the daycares. How many daycares do we need? Like, you can claim it's just an after school thing, or if it's a before school thing. They're daycares. There's kids in them all day long.
Mhm.
So that's the biggest question is how many do we need in a small radius?
It's a fair question. Thanks, Jackie.
You're welcome.
Victor, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Victor Lee. I happen to have a building on Halsted and 31st also. I just make a comment. It looks like our meeting today pretty much like a little bit our scope or whatever, what the original plan. The original plan is like change the zoning to residential.
From residential.
Yeah,
to
from
commercial.
residential to commercial, right? That's all we have discussed, because Ms. War has been get the permit, get the business going, and also get the building permit, everything going on. Just happens like somebody just like making a change behind the door, and then we go back to the square one. And for what kind of business we're going to start, I think it's the beginning of a community meeting. As for everybody's inputs, like whether I agree to have such business get in this area. I think should we have another time to make a discussion on this?
Yes, I think that's fair. And somebody else asked about that as well in the chat.
Yeah,
So-
otherwise we keep dragging on and on and on without this, like go around the
Yeah.
circles.
So like I said, I wanted to be able to just, if anybody else who was on the call today who took the time out, and I appreciate everybody taking their time to participate, and this is exactly what these discussions are for. And I've been trying to keep us on track about the request that's on the table. But I do think that this is going to require some additional conversation. So what I'd like to do is we can schedule a follow-up to this one. And so I want to make sure that, you know, everybody understands this is not a decision one way or another to say yay or nay to the change that's been requested. So Lisa, for Ms. Gu, you know, we'll have some further discussion based on the comments that we heard here today. I'll sit down with you, and then we'll schedule another follow-up meeting so that we can bring the community back together so that we can understand kind of what the next steps are. I do also want to say there was I saw some social media. There was a for rent sign that's in the front window. I think people are going to have questions about like what, because I think part of it was in Chinese and I can't read Chinese necessarily. So, you know, is the intention still to run the business there? And I'm assuming the answer to that question is yes. And maybe the rent signs were for what was up above, but just know that those are some of the questions that are being asked. So for now, we'll end the meeting because we're way over time, but you know, these are supposed to generally take 30 minutes. We'll make sure we have sufficient time. I want to make sure that we have everybody ask the questions they want to ask. So we'll reschedule. We'll work with Ms. Wong to figure out another follow-up time, and we'll post that with at least 2 weeks notice so that everybody has ample time to adjust their calendars to be able to participate. And if you have other comments or questions that you'd like answered, please feel free to send those to ward11@cityofchicago.org. I'll put it in the chat. This should be everybody. Hold on. So yeah, any questions, please send those through to ward11@cityofchicago.org, and we'll have those answered by the time we meet again. We'll work to get a new meeting on the books before the end of this week, and then we'll make sure again, we'll have at least 2 weeks notice for everybody in advance of the next meeting. So thank you, everybody, for being here.
Thank you. Thank
And
you.
we'll take care and we'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you. Good night.